a beacon of light. Good afternoon, everyone. If everyone can start taking their seats, please. My board knows we like to stay on time, so if everyone can start taking their seats, please. Well, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, and welcome to the Working Lunch. My name is Lynn Watkins Asiambi. In addition to my day job as Chief Administrative and Legal Officer and Corporate Secretary for Seco Environmental Corp., I have the pleasure of serving as the Board Chair for Women Employed's Board of Directors. For more than 50 years, Women Employed has been all in on building women's economic power. We are focused on those who face the greatest barriers to ensure that every woman has what she needs to thrive. Our track record is strong, and we are building better futures. In just the past year, we've won expanded paid time off and an end to the sub-minimum wage for tip workers in Chicago. We've helped to advance racial equity in higher education. We've supported hundreds of women entrepreneurs, and we've made sure working women know their rights. None of this would have been possible without our incredible partners, without our steadfast supporters, without each of you in the room today. I know you guys are eating, but my board, I want to give a special thanks to my fellow board of directors. So each one of you, can you please stand and be recognized? We could not do the work without these incredible women, and I'm inspired by your commitment and your leadership. Thank you again to our board of directors. To the amazing, mighty but small staff of this incredible organization, you not only bring impressive strategy and expertise to the work, but you roll up your sleeves to win victory after victory after victory. For my staff of Women Employed, I know this is not in the book, but please stand and be recognized. Just to give those of you that are not behind the curtain, we have less than, 25 fully paid staff members that put off an event like this, as well as I said, incredible victories after victories. So thank you again to our amazing staff. And finally, you'll hear from her in a minute, but to our fierce and dynamic leader, Sharita Ellens, whose leadership and innovative approach allows us to go all in. And she's my partner in crime, so I am so incredibly honored to work with her and partner with her. So thank you, Sharita. To our table leaders and hosts for working so tirelessly to make this event such a success. To each of you here and those watching virtually for marking this milestone along with us. You are all part of the We family. Finally, I want to express gratitude to all our generous sponsors, but especially our champion sponsor, Wind Creek Chicago Southland. As well as our Trailblazer sponsors, ComEd, Jomar Manufacturer of CLR Brands, and International Services, Inc. Without each of our sponsors' generosity, yes, round of applause to all of our sponsors that are shown on the screen. Without each of our sponsors' generosity, Women Employed could not approach our work as innovatively, strategically, or effectively as we are. We are and will continue to be all in on equity for working women, and we need your continued sponsorship dollars and support. And to make online giving easier this year, you will find information for logging onto the hotel's Wi-Fi on the back of your program book, along with information for how to donate and purchase raffle tickets. Our raffle prizes are truly phenomenal this year, so don't miss out. We're going to pause briefly to let you get started on your lunches and watch a brief message from Wind Creek, Chicago Southland. In about 15 minutes, we'll welcome Sharita Ellens, Women Employed's President and CEO, to the stage. Have a wonderful afternoon, and thank you again all for coming and joining us at the Working Lunch.
Hello, and good afternoon. I am Sharita Ellens, and I am honored to serve as President and CEO of Women Employed. Please continue to enjoy your lunches as the program continues. Before I go any further, I would like to thank all of the elected officials here with us today, especially Alderpersons Rodriguez and Hatton. We worked a lot with them this year. Thank you. I would also like to thank the Chicago Hilton staff for taking great care of us today. Thank you. I am proud to stand here to tell you about the work of this organization and together with you, the impact we have had. I want to start by talking about the progress we've made since our last luncheon. In Chicago, we worked alongside our steadfast partners, many of which are in the room with us today, to pass two critical new laws. The first will phase out the sub-minimum wage for tip workers. Which keeps tens of thousands of workers in poverty. These are some of the lowest paid, lowest opportunity jobs, and in Chicago, 70% of wait staff are women. Now they will earn a full and fair wage with tips on top so that they can better support themselves and their families. The second will expand paid time off for tens of thousands of mostly low-paid workers. This law, which goes into effect on July 1st, is the most progressive in the nation. It especially benefits women and people of color who are often in roles and working for employers that did not offer the benefit of paid time off beyond sick days. Now, these workers will have access to time to care for themselves, to attend their child's graduation, field trips, games, or here's a radical thought, time to just rest. Additionally, we joined our partners on Illinois' Equitable Funding Coalition to release recommendations to ensure all of our four-year public universities and colleges will have what they need to support their unique student populations. This is critical as we work to enable more women and students of color to persist and attain their degrees, not just go to school. Our Women's Entrepreneurship Hub celebrated its first year, and it's providing access to resources and information to more than 400 women and growing so that they can launch or grow their businesses and achieve their own vision of success. And late last year, we led 11 partner organizations across Illinois to plan and host a Women's Economic Power Agenda Summit. This summit brought together 49 organizations and over 100 participants spanning sectors and industries, including working women and entrepreneurs. We talked about what women need to put money in their pockets today, not 10 years from now. The solutions proposed were centered in the experiences of working women. This work cannot be done by a single entity or person, no matter what they say. We are so grateful to all of our partners in this work, including nonprofits, labor unions, education institutions, legislative allies, policy experts, government agencies, employers, and working women who have joined us to make this progress possible. 3 years ago, amid COVID-19, at the height of the She Session, I stood before you and rolled out a new strategic plan, a plan that focused on those with the greatest barriers to financial security, a plan to ensure the appropriate recognition and compensation of the essential work done by women, to radically shift the distribution of resources, and to forge pathways to economic security, leadership, and wealth. With 1 year remaining on that plan, and despite unprecedented challenges, we have made measurable progress. 1.5 more Illinoisans have access to paid leave. We've helped to secure $250 million in additional funding for need-based financial aid in Illinois through the MAP grant. We led a campaign to educate Illinois women about their equal pay rights, which was viewed more than 12.2 million times, and secured a pay transparency law that expands those rights even further. Our career pathways programs enabled hundreds to build skills and earn credentials, leading to family-supporting careers. Through our Aspire project, we're working directly with community colleges across the state to reform developmental education and close equity gaps so more women and students of color can get their degrees. Our first of its kind, Women's Entrepreneurship Hub, is ensuring more Black and Latinx women can become business owners, and there is so much more. These are your dollars at work. This is the impact of your support. And as you know, this event is a fundraiser, so I'm coming back. And there is so much more we need to do, and we cannot do it without your support. So please make a gift at whatever capacity you can to ensure we surpass our goal today. There are instructions on the screen and in your program book, and I'm supposed to hold this up, y'all. Your program book right here, you're gonna scan that on the back, and on your program books. Every dollar will drive our work forward, and as evidenced year over year, we know how to use those dollars for the greatest impact. And as Lynn said earlier, don't forget about our raffle. We have some amazing packages, and I never, ever, ever win raffles, but I'm hoping this will be my year. Or one of my friends is gonna win, and they're gonna treat me to whatever it is that they win. These are uncertain times. Our rights are being threatened. Our progress in danger of being rolled back. But one thing is certain: women employed will not back down. And we won't stop until every woman has what she needs to build wealth and secure her economic power. Thank you for joining us in this work, and I hope you enjoy the program. Please welcome, and I don't see her yet. Oh, no, you're here? Okay, there we go. Please welcome Sarah Labadie, our kick-ass Director of Advocacy and Policy, to the stage to announce our first champion honoree. Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Labadie, and I have the honor and pleasure of introducing our first champion honoree, Arise Chicago. Woo woo! Arise Chicago sits at the intersection of faith and labor, building connections and partnerships between faith communities and workers, and bringing a moral voice to workplace struggles. With over 1,700 members, they educate, organize, and build the leadership of low-paid immigrant workers to improve not just their own workplaces, but to win policies that improve conditions for all workers in Chicago and Cook County. Arise has been one of Women Employed's closest and most steadfast partners for well over a decade. They've worked with us to win paid sick time and paid time off in Chicagoland, to improve rights for domestic workers, to educate Illinois women about their equal pay rights, to end the sub-minimum wage for tipped workers in Chicago, and to plan and host the Women's Economic Power Agenda Summit, to name a few. They are fighting wage theft, empowering workers to lead campaigns, resulting in millions in recovered wages, calling out businesses who violate worker rights, protecting vulnerable workers from immigration-related retaliation, and so much more. Arise's team of organizers, advocates, and worker leaders has been a clear and steady beacon of light and hope. You'll hear from Arise's Executive Director, Reverend C.J. Hawking, during our panel conversation later in the program. And I am proud to welcome Margarita Klein, Arise's Director of Member Organizing, and Isabel Santos, an Arise member, to the stage now to accept this Champion Award.
Organizing, advocating, educating, serving as agents of change, a beacon of light and hope. Arise Chicago is building the leadership of low-paid immigrant workers to improve their own workplaces and winning public policies that improve the lives of all working people in Chicago and Cook County.
Hi, I'm Mary Kay Devine, and I have the honor to serve as the Chief of Staff here at Women Employed. Feeling the love. One part of my role here at Women Employed is overseeing our team that runs the Women's Entrepreneurship Hub that Sharita was just telling you about. The WE Hub is the first online entrepreneurship hub created by women and for women, and more specifically created by women of color for women of color here in Illinois. We've worked with partners from across the state to curate business resources into one trusted location to enable more women to succeed as business owners. While we connect women with tools and information to support them where they are on their journey, our partners provide the entrepreneurship resources that make their success possible. And one of these partners is BMO. Through their Zero Barriers to Business program, BMO is working to enable more Black, Latinx, and women small business owners to succeed. They've committed over $200 million in small business lending to these specific groups of entrepreneurs. And they're also providing free webinars and coaching to help more business owners meet their goals. Nearly 100 of our own WE Hub users have participated in BMO's workshops on topics ranging from obtaining credit, managing debt, budgeting, and more. We're proud to work with BMO to enable more women entrepreneurs to succeed, and we look forward to building on our collaboration with them in the future. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Leticia Flores Poole, Senior Regional Manager of Zero Barriers to Business, to accept today's Champion Award on behalf of BMO.
Equity focused, breaking down systemic barriers. BMO is expanding financial inclusion for customers who face greater barriers through inclusive banking products, services, and resources. Their $200 million commitment to small business lending for Black, Latinx, and women-owned businesses is ensuring more of us can succeed as entrepreneurs.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sharmili Majmudar. I'm the Executive Vice President of Policy, Programs, and Research for Women Employed. I have the distinct honor of presenting our final award of the day, our Emerging Power Builder Award. This award is reserved for someone who is stepping into her power, shaping the future, boldly going all in to make an impact right now. In 2017, when she was a high school sophomore, Amber N. Anderson founded the Black is Gold organization to build the power of Black women and girls by preparing them for college, their careers, and to become servant leaders in their communities. The programs they offer, including Girl Boss 101 and Black is Gold University, have provided mentorship, professional network development, college readiness, career preparedness, and social emotional learning 2, more than 400 Black women and girls, not only in Chicagoland, but also in Lexington, Kentucky, Atlanta, Georgia, and Hampton, Virginia. And because servant leadership is core to her values, Amber has encouraged her mentees to give back to their communities. For example, distributing 1,500 book bags to students in underserved Chicagoland neighborhoods. As you can clearly see, Amber is an absolute force to be reckoned with. She is tearing down barriers for young Black women to ensure that they can reach their full potential. We are so honored to give her our Emerging Power Builder Award, and because Amber is very much stepping into her power, she will also be speaking directly to you. Amber, please come up and accept your award.
Exceptional, unwavering, committed, visionary, entrepreneur. Amber N. Anderson is equipping Black women and girls to succeed in college and their careers. Her organization, Black is Gold, is changing lives and building power in the community.
Thank you for the introduction and the incredible video highlighting the Black is Gold organization's work. I'm deeply grateful to God for guiding me and giving me the vision to carry out this organization. Thank you to my parents, family, and supporters for their unwavering encouragement, and to my board of directors for their dedication to carrying out the vision of Black is Gold. Receiving the Emerging Power Builder Award for Women Employed is a true honor. This award reflects my journey as a leader. I'm emerging, I'm pushing boundaries, and I'm striving to make a significant impact in the lives of young Black women and girls. I appreciate Women Employed for giving me a platform to not only raise awareness about Black is Gold, but about the importance of creating safe spaces for young Black women and girls. 7 years ago, I was inspired by the music video Wale. The song was called Black is Gold. I gathered a few of my friends and we did a photo shoot and a video shoot. It celebrated Black women and our diversity. What started as a photo shoot ended up turning out to be an organization that now impacts the lives of young Black women and girls beyond the city of Chicago. Today, we're a nonprofit organization who services the Chicagoland area, Hampton Roads, Virginia area, and the Metro Atlanta area. Through through career and college readiness, thank you. Through career and college readiness, community service, social emotional learning, as well as personal and professional network expansion, we are mentoring our mentees holistically, prioritizing not just academic and career success, but also mental health and wellness and personal development. We aim to nurture every aspect of our mentees' journeys, helping them achieve their dreams with the necessary resources. We aim to be a space where our mentees' ideas, dreams, and aspirations go hand in hand with the resources to make them happen. There are so many women who look like me, who have the great idea, the vision, and the dream, but they simply don't have the adequate resources to bring them to life. Today, I charge you that if you are in a position to make that dream a reality and you have access to those resources to make it happen, I charge you to be a part of it. Because you don't know what impact you may be a part of or what mark you may make on the world by providing them with those resources. Our commitment at Black is Gold is to continue providing resources and platforms. We want to make sure that our mentees not only have the resources to do so, but that they are achieving those dreams and goals that they set out to make their mark on the world. Thank you again to Women Employed for honoring me with this award. And I appreciate you all being able to bridge the gap between a dream and a vision with the resources needed to make it happen. Thank you.
The City of Chicago and Women Employed worked together in the first year of Mayor Johnson's administration to pass paid leave and to end the sub-minimum wage. The mayor was committed to making sure that Chicago is the best place to work, and Women Employed looks at these issues from a gender lens. It was great to partner with Women Employed in a coalition of other advocates to pass landmark legislation in the city of Chicago.
The paid time off law will provide the most expansive paid time off benefits to workers across the country, and that's here in Chicago. We're going to be the first city to actually recognize that workers really deserve that dignity to be able to take off for means other than an illness.
Tengo 3 hijas, tenía que trabajar, no tenía acceso de tiempo libre pagado. Cuando mis hijas tenían algún evento escolar, como madre tenía que decirles muchas veces que no podía ir, y porque yo sabía que tal vez podía faltar, pero me arriesgaba a que me quitaran el trabajo o a que no me pagaran esos días, y ese dinero que no iba a obtener era necesario para comprar a mis hijas comida, llevarla a la mesa. Ahora podamos tener 5 días para usar con tus hijos y no va a haber ese miedo de que haya una descompensación en tu casa por no tener dinero.
ICCD and Women Employed have worked together for many years. Most recently, we've worked to transform developmental education through Women Employed's Aspire project. It's really important to transform developmental education because ultimately students who have the most barriers are often the students that end up in developmental education. And so through Aspire and through the work that we've done as partners here, we've been trying to address some of those.
Chicago State and Women Employed have worked together on issues that relate to equity and access to higher education, particularly for underserved communities and populations in the city. We've worked on projects that include the Commission on Public Institutions and Equity in Higher Education. We worked together on our Equity Working Group where we studied access and issues that really deter Black students from accessing higher education.
I kind of knew ahead of time that it was going to be difficult for my family to be able to afford college out of pocket because my parents are Latino immigrants. The job prospects that they had throughout my entire life were very, very limited. My parents made the decision to basically drain their entire retirement funds. It cost them everything that they had saved in the last 30 years. There's a wide range of circumstances within marginalized communities, and especially communities of color, for why people can't afford college or why it's less accessible to them. And so equitable funding is important because it makes sure that students get equal access to the same opportunities irrespective of what they can afford.
My name is Angel Rogers, and I am the CEO and founder of Bella Rain Cosmetics, where we help everyday people enhance their beauty. Using WeHub has helped me in so many ways than one. It helped me to understand that my business is not just an everyday hobby, but it actually is a business. With using the different WeHub resources, I've been able to get my business structured as a corporation. I've been able to use the different marketing tools to actually have a marketing campaign. So I'm really excited to do all of the different workshops. I love the live webinars where we can ask questions and have professionals there to actually answer our questions. So working with WeHub has been phenomenal for myself, my personal growth, and my professional growth.
Often the people who are being most impacted don't have a voice in the room where decisions are being made. Women Employed is listening to those voices, which ensures that we actually have policies that are addressing community needs.
Wow. Are you feeling as inspired as I am? Our honorees are incredible, so thanks to each of you for every single thing you do. And that video.
Thank you to everyone who appeared in the video, and especially to Isabel, Melanie, and Angel for sharing your experiences and the impact of your work. It is so hard to share your personal story, so I feel privileged that you trusted us enough to share your stories with us and to allow us to share your stories with 680 of our closest friends. represent why we are all in on doing this work every day.
And speaking of the work, the impact that you've seen today is made possible by your generous support. We have very ambitious fundraising goals. And I understand that a generous donor has actually agreed to match all new and all increased gifts today. So don't sleep on that match. So now is your moment to invest in our work to ensure that all women can thrive. While we want you to leave today with very full hearts, we also hope that you'll leave with slightly emptier wallets. But you'll know that your generosity is making a very big deal, a very tremendous difference in the lives of all women.
So, let me tell you all the types of things that we can do with your dollars. Being all in means joining forces with our partners. For about $9,800, I know somebody can write that check right now, we can lead a coalition for 1 month to fight for things like paid family and medical leave or equal pay. For $5,100, we can ensure our materials, curriculum updates, and research are translated into multiple languages, making them accessible to all. For about $2,600, we could educate 250,000 people about their workplace rights.
Those are some great opportunities, Sharita, and there are even more ways for the folks in this room to go all in and make a huge impact today. For $914, we can put a woman on a pathway to a living wage career. $619 would fund 1 full week of our paid internship program for 1 student. The Pattis Family Foundation Summer Leadership Program is so impactful in the lives of the young adults who join us every summer. I'm going to talk about a few of our SLP alums, because they're doing pretty great stuff in the world. Melanie Agaton, who we just saw in the video, is currently a policy fellow at the UIC Institute for Policy and Civic Engagement, where she's strengthening her policy-making skills in preparation to go to law school to improve the lives of immigrant families. Old school, one of our first cohorts, Janelle Bailey, came and has graduated on to do great things. She serves as the co-executive director of the LA Black Worker Center. Megan Kwong, recent SLP alum, just earned her master's degree, and I'm talking like just earned, like last week. Diploma's still hot, folks. And she earned that degree in teaching secondary English, and she's about to start a new job at the Chinese American Service League as a youth program leader. And we are very lucky that 2 of our SLP alums are current women-employed staff, Amanda Sousa and Efrata Sasahule. So I've got a couple of more examples for you. $366 will allow 1 woman to access the resources on our WeHub. And my last example, $116 would allow us to work with a partner and host an entrepreneurship workshop in the community. So we appreciate your generosity, and like we say over and over, every single dollar does actually count. And the more that you're able to give today, the more impact that we will be able to have together. So please, be as generous as possible.
Speaking of the WeHub, we know when it comes to women's entrepreneurship, the greatest need is access to funding.
That's right. And our Hub team folks know, and our Hub users are going to be excited when we unveil our brand new Money Finder tool. This is going to add to the Entrepreneurship Hub an innovative resource that will enable the women to find grants, loans, and other access to capital. And all of those funds will fuel building their businesses. Your gift today can help us make continuous improvements and updates to the WeHub to make sure it's having the impact in these aspiring business owners.
Okay, so this is where you come in. We are going to give you a moment, because I know you need time to, get your purses out, go into your pockets, if you haven't done so already, and pull out your wallets and your checkbooks to start making those gifts. And as we said earlier, we actually purchased extra Wi-Fi to make sure that you have no problem getting on to make your donations today. So remember, every new and increased dollar we raise today is being generously matched. So go online, use the QR code, or take the traditional route and use the envelopes on the table if you prefer to write a check. Just make sure that small envelope, those are the little white ones, get inside the big envelope so that we can collect them at the end of the program.
Okay, folks, keep making those gifts, but don't sleep on the raffle, because our raffle prizes are very amazing, as Lynn and Sharita have described, and we're going to keep those sales open until 5 p.m. tonight. We'll do the drawing, and we'll contact the winners tomorrow, so you could head into Memorial Day a big winner.
Okay, let's see where we are. Let's see. Are they coming up on the screen, drum roll? Okay. We are really close. And I know that by the end of this program, that we will be able to close that gap. It's a little less than $20,000 less to go, about $15,000, and I have every faith in the world that between our 680 friends in this room, that we can easily close that gap. So thank you. The more we raise, the more we're able to do.
So thanks again to each and every single one of you for your generosity. I'm going to take my seat now and turn it back over to Sharita for the next part of our program and panel. So thanks, everybody.
Okay. I left my cards, my panel cards on the table. Can you grab them for me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. Mary Kay, thank you. You are an amazing partner in this work, and I appreciate all that you do for me personally and the organization as Chief of Staff. Like, get my cards that I left on the table. Thank you very much. It's definitely not an easy role, and I thank you. The theme for this event and for Women Employed this year is All In. As you've heard, we are all in on equity, all in on systemic change, and all in on expanding the table so that everyone can take their seat and own their power. We're grateful to all the partners who have been all in alongside us. How many times can I say all in today? Equally committed to equity, justice, and closing the wealth gap. And I'm looking at the number. I see we're at 343. Keep it going. We're almost there. All right, I am excited to share the stage with 3 of those amazing partners today to engage in a conversation about the interconnection on the issues facing working women and the collaboration needed to drive change. I now like to invite our panelists to the stage. Please welcome Reverend C.J. Hawking, the Executive Director of Arise Chicago, Dr. Christina Pasion-Zayas, Chief of Staff for the City of Chicago and the first Latina to hold that role, and Audra Wilson, President and CEO of the Shriver Center on Poverty Law. This is on, thank you. Okay, we are just gonna dive in because I want the room to experience your brilliance the way that I get to experience on a regular basis. So we're just gonna dive right in if that's okay. In your respective roles, what do you see women struggling with? What are you hearing from the women? And we're gonna go Christina, Audra, and CJ, if that's okay.
For sure. Thank you for having us. This is so powerful to be in this room of such amazing women and sharing this moment with our friends and just having this conversation. I think, you know, the main thing that I would say that women are struggling with is being seen, validated, and supported. Inherently, women are brilliant, resourceful, creative, connectors, and it's done so effortlessly. It's instinctual almost. And, you know, being in spaces that can be dominated with, you know, male energy that can be toxic, you have to navigate some interesting waters. and be able to kind of walk that line, because when you are shining bright, you may need to help people put on some sunglasses to be able to work with your brilliance.
Audra. I think I'm mic'd up. Can you all hear me? Okay, so first of all, it's real great to be here. Thank you, Sharita, for inviting me, one of our wonderful partners. I would say, Christina, you summarized it perfectly. Getting more specifically about some of these issues that we experience, both at the Shriver Center and the work that I do with the Cook County Commission on Women's Issues. Women are dealing with gender-based violence. As we know, it's a huge problem in our communities. Generally, gender-based biases, unequal pay, limited opportunities for advancement, the elusive work-life balance, which everybody in this room understands. How do we balance our lives as caretakers, as caregivers, as mothers, stepmothers, conductors, organizers? That's who we are as women, but yet this is a challenge that we have at navigating that and the work that we have to do to support our families. We know that there's unhealthy workplace environments that people are dealing with, including sexual harassment and other sorts of challenges they have. Especially we've seen this with respect to the coalition work that we did with eliminating the sub-minimum wage and some of the conditions that women were experiencing as servers and service staff. And then of course, again, burnout. And we are burning out. We are working so hard to do the work that we do and to support our communities and our families, but we are experiencing burnout, which is directly related also to mental health, which is something that we could never talk enough about. So these are some of the more specific things that we are experiencing, and still we persist, as Christina just said, because we are such amazing creatures, but these are things that do need to be enumerated and talked about and dealt with.
You all have named some very significant issues, and the women in this room know what those issues are like. There is no work-life balance, and we're all struggling with housing and education and healthcare. Now imagine adding a layer on top of that and fearing that you're going to be deported and taken away from your family, your children, your husband, your neighborhood, your entire community. What low-wage immigrant workers are facing is the threat of deportation. President Biden has done some good things, but we as a society need to advance a lot further, for we are all descendants of immigrants, with the exception of those who were brought over in our horrendous time of slavery. So women have to muster up the courage to walk out the door every day, to go to the schoolyard and pick up their children, or go to the grocery store, because they are fearing that they might be taken away from their families. And those are some of the issues that the women at Arise Chicago are addressing and fighting against.
Thank you. I told y'all they were brilliant. So, CJ, Arise Chicago works, as we heard today, to educate, organize, and develop the leadership of low-paid workers. It's empowering, right? So that they can learn to be an advocate for themselves. What effects do you see when workers have the knowledge for themselves?
Thank you, Sharita, and thank you also for allowing Arise Chicago to be in this space with you. We are truly honored. Knowledge is important. One of the first things that we teach workers at Arise Chicago is that the 1935 Fair Labor Standards Act applies to everyone regardless of immigration status. So that's a key thing for workers to know. Everyone who comes to Arise Chicago attends a 2-hour workers' rights training where we teach workers their rights. But then there's a moment of decision for each worker, and for women workers in particular. Am I going to continue on being exploited and remaining silent, or am I going to stand up for myself? So women have to dig deep and find that place of courage. They have to be encouraged by other folks as well. And when they touch that courage, anger at the exploitation that they're experiencing also comes with it. And because of that anger, women are then motivated to take action and to build out some strategy with their coworkers, male and female alike, and to address their workplace issues together. So it's a trajectory from the knowledge into action, and we at Arise Chicago, along with Women Employed and Shriver Center, are proud to engage in that trajectory with immigrant workers.
Thank you, CJ. Audra, we understand that it's critical for workers and individuals to feel empowered to advocate for themselves. And we know, right, that is a very tall task and a very large ask for them to do in order to truly impact systemic change. Why is it important to bring together a diverse group of stakeholders to push for the changes that are needed to build economic power, and what is the role of advocacy organizations like Shriver?
So Sharita, you started off by talking about some of the most significant wins that we've had for this year, and specifically the phasing out of the sub-minimum wage and paid time off. But the fact is, we could not have done this if we did not do it in coalition and partnership. That's right. We cannot do this by ourselves. We need the collective power, the intellect, the heft, the monetary support of every single partner, every single person that we can. And that's how we've been able to achieve success. We need to have those strength in numbers. So we're very proud at the Shriver Center to have had the opportunity to work alongside Arise Chicago and with Women Employed and several other of our coalition partners in here, and we're very proud of that. Each member of a coalition brings a specific strength, a specific skill set. They are able to engage a specific population, and that is the reason why we've been able to have the success that we've had so far. But the biggest reason why you have to work in coalition and partnership is because it's a long game. Yes. These successes that you see, for example, with paid time off, that now everyone's talking about and it sounds so great, you're talking about over a decade's worth of advocacy. So if you do not have a coalition that is working to support and nurture each other, especially when as individuals, we might be struggling just to keep our organizations afloat. And we may have to lean in at some times on our coalition partners because we may have a moment where we can't be as present as we want to be, but the movement is so important. So being able to work together and for the long game and for a long time is what allows us to achieve the results that we have. And I'm just fortunate, again, being at the head of the Shriver Center, we are proud of being a convener. We are a proud coalition partner with many of the folks in this room and on this stage, but we also have the ability to be a convener, to create the space and to give our expertise that we have and the connections that we have and to lend them to our coalition partners. And so it's a very honored role that we have and one that we cherish. And I'm so happy for those of you who've been able to work with us and to encourage for those of you who do need partnership to also be sure to reach out to us so that we can also lend that support.
Thank you so much. Christina, so I introduced you as the Chief of Staff, but others in the room may not know that prior to becoming the Chief of Staff, you also served as Illinois State Senator. And I would like for you to talk about what is the role government has in building women's economic power, and how is the city of Chicago in particular working to assure women feel safe and economically secure?
Thank you for that question, because it's like multidimensional and obviously sustained over time and requires significant investment. I can speak to right now, as we're looking at what the city of Chicago and particularly Mayor Brandon Johnson has called upon us to effectuate in terms of our support for women and girls, starting first with awareness building. The chair of the City Council Black Caucus, Alderwoman Cole, Coleman, she has called for some hearings on missing women and girls, and particularly with the emphasis on Black women and girls. This has been something that has been ongoing, has not been resolved, has not been afforded the attention it absolutely deserves, and these hearings are to build awareness, but then also to come up with some solutions from a structural standpoint within the city of Chicago in terms of how we can protect and ensure safety of women and girls. The second area is around advising. We have a Women's Advisory Council that advises the city of Chicago on policy and practice and programs, but we also have the Gender-Based Violence Task Force that also lends their expertise, their lived experience, and provides us with the clarity of direction in terms of how we carry forward our policies with attention and deliberate investments in survivors of gender-based violence. The next area has to do with investments. You all may have heard that we have recently announced our reallocation of ARPA dollars. These are the COVID funds that have some very explicit deliberate and targeted investments that women will benefit from. First is Family Connects. This is our nurse family home visiting program that has been piloted in discrete areas in the city to support pregnant and parenting families in the very first few months of life in terms of their parent skills, they're ensuring their child's optimal development and wellness and so on and so forth. This is a private-public partnership, and the city of Chicago is putting additional funds in that. The second area of investment is our guaranteed basic income. You all may recall we invested in that with the Cook County, where we had households that met a particular economic threshold and would receive $500 a month over the course of 12 months, and now we are extending it for another year with a particular emphasis on households that have small children, as well as households who are justice involved. We know that that makes a radical difference in people's lives, and particularly when we looked at the data of recipients, the majority of those recipients were female head of households, women of color. The next area is legislation, in which we have just talked about with one fair wage as well as paid time off. These are critical benefits that individuals should absolutely be paying attention to, because the tipped wage economy is fueled by women and women of color, and therefore has been historically exploited, whether it be, that we have vestiges of slavery with the tipped wage economy, or whether it be being the subject of objectification and sexual harassment just to get a basic wage, let alone paid time off just so that you can go get some basic health care, you can take care of your child. These are just, for me, some people want to call these radical things. These are basic. This is like bare minimum.
Very basic.
And the last piece I'd like to highlight, because there's some very special people in the room, Mayor Brandon Johnson, his administration is 60% women in terms of the leadership. And I want to call that out because he's very deliberate, obviously, about bringing in talent and lived experience, but then also leaning into the power of women. In terms of if we're looking at whether it's budget, whether it's policy, whether it is our areas of business and economic development and community engagement, all being led by women and women of color. So those are some of the very discrete ways that the city of Chicago is lifting up women and girls.
Thank you. And I know we have some of those leaders in there. I saw a few of you all today, so thank you for breaking away from City Hall and joining us today. I appreciate that. Christina, we also worked together when you was a state senator, Sharmili, along with the National Women's Law Center to pass the salary transparency bill. Can you talk a little bit about why that matters, how it's going to benefit employers, and the impact that it's going to have on women and people of color?
Yeah, so that bill actually came to me in concept from LinkedIn. Somebody posted on LinkedIn and tagged me and was like, Christina, you need to do this. And I was like, okay, let's go. And so we started to look into it, and actually I was, pretty surprised it wasn't on the books. I mean, because you do have quite a few employers, City of Chicago being one of them, already putting that into practice. The whole concept behind it is, you want to have a honest and transparent process in terms of when you're recruiting and when you're negotiating. And oftentimes, when we do not put forward the compensation, the full benefits package, there could be some openings for some not so beneficial behavior for particularly the employee. And oftentimes what we have been able to uncover is that there is some discrepancies and disparities amongst what people are being offered based on gender, based on race, and ethnicity. Although that is against the law, we know that it is still happening all too common. And so we wanted to just be able to just take that out of the argument and equip people with the expectation that coming to the table as you are searching, you know what you are going into, and on both sides. Because from an employer standpoint, it is very difficult to have to constantly be, revolving door recruiting people. That costs quite a bit of money, and therefore you want to be able to go into this in earnest and be able to attract the best talent. I think from the standpoint of the employee, you don't want to have to be in a situation that you've gone through this entire process and then you realize it's not going to meet your basic needs. Then that puts you in a situation, okay, do I accept this job, take the hit, and maybe I'm not going to be able to pay for high quality childcare. Maybe I'm not going to be able to have X, Y, Z. Those types of questions should be out of the equation as you are seeking employment and as an employer is seeking to attract and retain the best talent.
And then for all of you all are wondering, that law goes into effect January 2025. And it just helps. It takes the negotiation off the table, and we know that salary negotiations is not equitable across the board, and women tend to be less confident going into salary negotiations, and everybody is received differently in those negotiations. So we're happy that that's just one more tool in the arsenal as we push towards equal pay. And this is going to go for everyone, and CG, we'll start with you and then go this way this time. Why is it important to focus on multiple issues and strategies and organizational mandates and perspectives when we're working to eliminate the barriers to economic equity, and or you can take the question either way, or to build economic power?
Yeah, thank you, Sharita. The pandemic has been brought up, and although we are out of the pandemic, there are so many realities that came to the forefront during the pandemic. Many of us in this room sat at home, and we were safe, and we were comfortable, and we were on Zoom working 12 and 14-hour days. I know that. But who was it that was keeping us safe and comfortable and fed? It was mostly people of color, mostly women, who were dying at the rates 2 and 3 times of white people. So there's a new reality that has emerged post-pandemic, and we need to address this context and say that the women should not be exploited in order to feed the rest of us. In addition, women are not just workers, but they go home, they are mothers and wives, and they're taking care of their elderly parents and their neighbors, and they're serving on the school board, etc. So if we look at what is happening to women, I invite us to look at the whole person and to center the humanity of women when we are considering new public policies.
So Reverend Hawking, I'm so happy that you started out by talking about who we talked about, the essential workers, that we lauded them so much in the pandemic, about our healthcare workers and our cashiers and our garbage truck drivers and everybody else, but we didn't realize the fact that these are the people who were toiling in the shadows, and many of whom were women. And all of a sudden they became very important when we realized how much we needed them, and they allowed us, as you said, to be able to work from home, and most of us in the room could do that as a consequence of their labor. So thank you for acknowledging that. There's so many things that unite us as women. There's so many issues that are common to us as women, irrespective of our race, our gender, our ethnicity, our sexuality. But we are not a monolith. And we come with very specific challenges. And there is no such thing as a one-size-fits-all policy. And all of us who are working in coalition recognize that there are concessions that need to be made. So we look at the needs of the whole. We try to get as much as we can, but we do realize that they're imperfect in the sense that there's going to be something that's left out. So it's really important to center that intersectionality, to be cognizant of the fact that what is being left, kind of out of the equation, what kind of didn't make the cutting, or made the cutting room floor, so to speak. And to think about that, because our policies are only as good as inclusive as they can possibly be. And so if we're not thinking and anticipating some of the challenges that we're going to have with a specific policy based on a particular community and some of their specific challenges, then you're not going to have a particularly great policy. So that's why sometimes you see examples of things that look great on paper, but they really don't accomplish what we would think they accomplish, because it did not really look at the intersectionality. It didn't look carefully, at the specific groups of women that are targeted here, or any sort of population. So the intersectionality is key. We cannot be afraid to have this conversation. We cannot be afraid, especially as women, to say that, hey, we're all here, for the same reason. We want to advance, let's say, economic justice, but we are not all starting from the same place. And if we cannot be honest about that, then our policies are going to reflect that.
I think, because these two brilliant women have laid it out, I think the only thing I would add, just to kind of illustrate, like, we are not one or two-dimensional human beings, we're three-dimensional human beings. We live a full life. Yeah. We embody multiple identities at the same time. And that's why we have to constantly be applying multiple lenses as we are creating policy and we are developing practices and programs. In many ways, too, I would say that when you invest in women, you are literally investing in a whole village, a community. That's right. Because of our connections, because of our kind of like instinctual to nature to pour into others. When people pour into us, we pour right back into other folks. Yep. And it is a bi-directional, and it reverberates and pushes out into the entire community, so that when we are developing these policies too, we are coming from a very practical standpoint. I think the lived experiences that women draw upon are not thinking about things at the 30,000-foot level. It's literally about, how can I actually make this function and work? And it's because in many ways, women are put into those circumstances and conditions frequently, as we were talking about, being frontline workers, but then going home and caring for children and making sure the laundry is done and taking care of your mom or your tia. I mean, all of those things, constantly flipping and switching hats, but showing up every single day, delivering and doing it over one more time. So I think that's the important kind of element to consider as we're thinking about policy and the multidimensional and layered and intersectional nature of women.
You just spoke to my soul. That is my life every day. And you don't think about how women show up. You don't think about, before she got to that office, the 50 million things that she did, or things that she had to go through to get there, from caregiving, from taking care of kids, from answering calls to family, from whatever, doing the 3 roles that you're assigned at work when you're only supposed to have one. Because we do it all. All of those things are so important. So in the last few seconds that we have, few minutes, you actually did really well today, so I think we're doing very good on time, so good job. Can you share with everyone here in this room how everyone in this room, from their own sphere of influence, from their own corner of the world, how every single person in this room can go all in for women, families in their respective communities? And I'm going to start, Audra, with you this time.
Okay.
And I'm going to end with CJ. How's that?
Got it. Well, you're all here, so that's very important. and supporting organizations like Women Employed. And so that is very significant. But the thing I would say that you should all think about is you need to make workplaces work for women. So make your workplace work for women. And you've heard all of us in the panel talk about how we don't leave ourselves at home. Like when we come to the office, we come with all of this, these burdens, these challenges. But those things also make us really great employees, right? Our ability to organize and to coordinate, and I like to use the word conduct because I'm a musician, and just, those are skills that we bring to work. That's what makes us such valuable employees. And as long as you recognize that, making their workplaces work. So whether you are running an organization, whether you're just part of the organization and just trying to make it better, whatever influence you have, please work on making workplaces work for women.
I want to plus one that 1,000 times. I think I would say, just to build on that, how are you mentoring women? And then how are you connecting with your peers? And how are you being mentored? Thinking about yourself in relationship to the various women that show up in your life, and how do you pour back into them and support them, and particularly when there are moments when you have difficult situations and you see that certain personalities are dominating, how can you in that space echo what that other woman is saying so that she is not dismissed, she is not erased, and she is not disregarded? How are you specifically kind of in that collective power harnessing it so that women are always centered and lifted in the moment?
Yep. I'm going to start it. Thank you. I'm going to start a chant, so I ask you to repeat after me. Get on the bus.
Get on the bus.
Get on the bus to Springfield so we can pass paid time off in Springfield, and we need paid family leave. Come to Springfield. Folks, get on the bus.
Get on the bus.
Come to Arise Chicago Actions with Portillo's workers and El Milagro workers. Stand with the workers who need to know that you're there supporting them. And finally, get on the bus.
Get on the bus.
We need to all go to City Hall because Christina and Mayor Johnson cannot do this alone. We need to have their backs. We've passed progressive legislation, and we need to make sure that we're there to support it because it is going to come under attack, and we want to make sure that everyone will get on the bus.
Get on the bus.
Thank you.
I'm not sure I can follow that, and I'm going to break a moderator rule, and I'm going to answer the question myself. Take care of yourself.
Ooh. Yep.
And I mean your whole self. Your whole self. We get so caught up in achieving that next goal and to reaching every point that we say we want to be this by 30, we want to do this by 50, we want to have this title, we need to have X amount in the bank. You have to rest.
It's resistance.
Rest is radical, it's revolutionary, and it is okay. If you are not okay, you can't help anyone else. You can't pour from an empty cup. Take care of yourself. Make sure you're resting. Make sure that you are honing your own voice, that you are wielding and yielding. I see my friends at this table laughing when I said rest because I don't always do a great job of that. However, do what I say, not what I do. What I say, not as I do. Make sure that you are using your voice for good. Yep. Make sure that if there is someone next to you that is afraid to speak up, that you tell them, I will hold your hand as you go in here and fight for yourself. Yep. These things are so important. So thank you to my panelists. Thank you all for being here today. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So again, thank you so much to all of our panelists. I have so much admiration for each of them as they are brilliantly, I always said they were brilliant, and they are, leading in their respective roles and truly working to make the world better for all of us. We are wrapping up our program. We're getting out on time this year, y'all. But there is still time to make a donation and to purchase raffle tickets and to text your friends and tell them to purchase raffle tickets. I know y'all want to be on that Southwest plane, going anywhere in the world that Southwest travels, or enjoying a wine tasting or whatever the other fabulous packages are. You don't want to lose this opportunity that you have as an individual to say that you did something. You made an investment that fuels our ability to continue to go all in. Every dollar you spend today will be put to good use, allowing us to complete the ambitious and impactful work you heard about. And again, raffle sales will end at 5 o'clock. Please stay connected with us on social media. We're at Women Employed everywhere you can go. Go to our website. Yay! Keep it coming. Go to our website and sign up for our emails. Join us at our next event. Become a monthly donor. Don't just stop here. Don't let today be a one-off. We find ourselves in very challenging times, and we're going to need you with us to continue our impact. Before I let you go, I want to take a moment to express my deepest and most sincere thanks to the Women Employed staff. They are among the hardest working people I have ever had the privilege to work with, except for Fran Bell, to work with and lead. Will all the staff in the room please stand? I see you all scattered everywhere. They are working. Wave your hand. I get to stand before you and be the face, but they are the ones that are making the magic happen. Whether you are a donor, an ally, a partner, a sponsor, a guest, a staff member, a board director, you are the key to our success. Your commitment and your support drive our mission to improve the economic status of women and remove the barriers to equity. We are all in because you are all in, and together we can do so much more for women and families. Please enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for coming out. Thank you.